partner, Susanna Ola Daniels, and co-Olainka Ola Daniels. Good morning, and thank you for joining us at TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, I'm certain that you have been following, or you followed the controversies that trailed the outfit Amotekun when it was launched, and it came and gave birth to, or it's climaxed to the federal government and the state governors agreeing to come up with a legal framework. But then does that put to rest the controversies that it generated in the first place? Because we're still getting some persons saying, you know what, do not allow this fly at all.
Yeah, well, so far I would say, well, so far the meeting is a welcome development. And then I think for now, I think you should put every other thing, at rest. Why did I say that? In 2003, when Ishbar came up and they started, operating, well, federal government, former President Obasanjo stopped, made inquest in Kano State. And they stopped them. In fact, they even carried their commandant and all that. They were opera everywhere. Unfortunately for President Obasanjo, in 2003, before the Ishbar came, before they started, they had already legislated the organization. That is Kano State. If you look at the AG of Kano State and AG of Federation, that 2007, reported. That was what happened when they went to court. I think federal government, Kano State went to court, and they got to court, and the Supreme Court said, well, I don't see any issues here. I don't see, federal government has not said that it's contesting the security outfits and all that. And the truth is, everything went down. And since then, Israel has been existing. And no issue. And other outfits, security outfits started, springing up. So I don't see any reason why this should be different. Now, Southwest, don't forget that even the Federal Capital Act, zoning things, zone Southwest. So we have Southwest already, but though there is no joint parliament, but then I will still advise, yes, let all the states go together, enact their laws. Of course, when you have your laws, that's the reason why some of us were shocked at the initial statement of Mr. Attorney General when he said it was illegal.
Do we need a law? Because the Constitution allows for governors to for the protection of lives and property, and the governors are the chief security officers of their state. Do we need a legal framework to back up this?
Yes, they need, because under the Constitution, the only when it comes to defense, the federal government, that's the police. The federal government has the exclusive. when it comes to defense, the security is exclusive list. On defense, lies with the federal government, lies with the police, like with the defense, the military, and all that. So, if anything has to come up, it has to be backed by law. Yes, you are the #1 security officer of the state. Yes, and part of your duty is to make sure that there's security, protection of properties and of your people. Then, it's not just something you give a directive to. It's not something you just wake up and you want to announce. Everything you must do must be backed by law.
So now, what kind of framework what should constitute the framework now? Looking at the fact that each state in the Southwest have their peculiarities.
Yes.
So should it be unified, or should it be based on domesticating it and looking at how your terrain is as a state?
Well, I think one thing we must not take out from there is we must take cognizance of the fact that even the federal government is working on community policing.
Absolutely.
And state policing and all that. And we just hope that they will expedite action on that so that it can complement what's it called, the Amotekun can complement the national security. Having said that, every state, like you said, has its peculiarity. And that is the reason we are saying each state must have a legal frame. Lagos is different from Osun. Osun is different from Ogun State. Like that, every other state, they have their peculiarities. So, but when you now come up with, okay, fine, let's talk about training, let's talk about recruitment, let's talk about so many things, let's talk about, because the truth is, most of these outfits, security outfits, still help the police when it comes to intelligence. They are still the one that gives them intelligence. They are still the one that tells them, oh, we know something is happening over there, because they know the terrain. They know the terrain. So each state will have to enact their laws. Then let all the outfits work in their different states. If they want to still have a joint one together that will probably on the same way the federal government will do, this is federal, and the same way police will operate in everywhere. They still, don't forget that they still have their divisional, they still have their area, they still have their zone and all that. So the same thing can still happen. It's just about them, the Southwest, coming together. Let each state, then if they want to come under Southwest zone, well, somehow they can still find a way of creating some laws to still help.
Do you see the police and the men of the Amotekun squad, let me just use that word, working together to solve insecurity in the Southwest?
In the North, we have JTF, the civilian JTF. They're working with the police. They're working with the military to help in curbing bandits, to help in curbing
we have peculiarities in this area where people do not want to divulge information for fear of being arrested.
Very well, I agree with you. But that's the reason why we have the Amotekun, because part of the trainings is still part, the intelligence is still part of it. And you are not just the normal civilians or an average Nigerian that is afraid. Now, you have a law that is backing you to do what you want to do. So there's no reason why they can't work together with the police to divert information to the police, even when they arrest these people, because I do not know whether part of the laws they want to enact will give them power also to prosecute. And if you remember, Isber, they arrested they arrested some policeman.
Would that be a suggestion?
It is a suggestion from my part. I think they can come together, whether they want, if federal government is going to allow them to prosecute, whether they're going to allow the laws they are going to enact. But for me, I think they can look into that. If they can come up with an enactment to give them power to do such, they should be able to do that in their states to prosecute anyone found culpable.
All right, Olayinka Oladanius, we'll leave it. Let's look at the framework now. What do you think will be an encompassing framework that will take care of all of the concerns that were raised by perhaps Nigerians when the operation was launched?
Well, we have part of the fear of our people. One of the fears is the fact that they said they may be used, maybe they're looking at 2023, that they may be used as political thugs or people to snatch or ballot boxes or to work for some politicians or intimidate opponents and all that. The way it is, I believe Southwest governors are brilliant people. And for them to come up with this, it means that they have some frameworks on ground, particularly training of those people, design their jobs and their destination. Now, to say, this is what you are to do. We talked about, particularly when they are recruiting them, that what you are limited to do is to carry out this assignment, intelligence, bandits.
But is that enough?
And not, because see, once there's training, and of course, before you are employed, you sign some confidential agreements and all that. And your job destination is really clear to you.
But we've seen breaches of agreement.
Very well. That's the reason why we also have termination of contract. You do that. You breach it.
And that is when you're bringing consequences.
There will be consequences. You are fired. And not just fired. If you go beyond what is stated in your terms of duties, then you can also go to jail. You can be prosecuted.
So this should be contained in the framework?
It should be contained in the framework. They should know why they are being employed. They should know what they are there to do. It should not just be the gbogbero, the way of things. Yes, where everybody, once you think you have a uniform, you can harass anybody. You think you have uniform on you, you can do anything on the road. No. And that's the reason why I'm going to say we are looking at the zone now, the Southwest zone.
Yeah.
And they're not going to leave any stone unturned when it comes to this, because they know there are fears from different quarters that if you're starting this, are you sure that this is not going to generate issues from other zones also? And the question I'm asking, don't we have this security outfit in some zones? If
Even
tomorrow,
some, the North Central governors are thinking of coming up with something.
They can.
We see this.
They can.
They are
It's
calling
their
for
right.
South.
It
This,
is their-
the Ohanese are talking about Bakassi
It is
returning.
it is their right. They can. The South can. Different. We have 6. They can all come up to say, this is what we want to do. Because if truly we practice true federalism, I don't think we should be talking about this incident.
But with the legal framework now, do you think it should contain a section or a situation where the public can also sue them in case of breach?
The same way you can sue the police, the same way I can sue the military if they go outside the scope of their duties on harassment and whatever. The same way they can be sued. That is the reason why we're gonna, all that should be inclusive in the framework, should be inclusive in the laws to say, come, if you breach this or you go outside the scope of your duty, then this will happen. Yeah, it should be inclusive. They can sue them. But if he is a legal entity, yeah, of course.
So one concern that some Nigerians have is the aspect of they not bearing arms. And some have come out to say that if they are not bearing arms, then it wouldn't be effective.
Well, on that, the question is, JTL, we know they carry arms. Ishba, they carry arms. See, it's about controlling it. Even the police that you have given arms, we know what they do sometimes with those ammunitions. We know how they kill, we know the number of extrajudicial killing that we have in the country. So it's not about them carrying arms or not. For me, they can, but control it. The hunters, we practice hunters in the part of the southwest zone and all that, and they have their day guns, but may not be the sophisticated ones like the AK whatever and all that. But I don't see any reason why they can carry if they can be controlled. But which is going to be part of the framework. The same way the police, the same way the military, you don't just shoot at anyone. Unfortunately, to an extent, we have not been able to control the police way.
That's the issue. That's the worry that people have.
No, that's the reason. That is why we need adequate training, and that starts from the recruitment.
Is it about the training or about the mindset of those that will be employed?
That is the reason why we are talking about the recruitment at the beginning. Everything is on hold right now because we need to put up legislation and all that. Now, what we are saying is, at the point of recruiting them, know who you are recruiting. You cannot just pick anyone on the road that is hungry for power and he just wants to carry gun and shoot. If at the point of that you recruit, you check the intelligence of the people you are employing for this. And at the time they are coming in, it's not just anybody. The same way, look at the police, they tell us they are recruiting, and we see them when they recruit them, and the next thing, somebody gets a gun and is drunk in the morning, very early in the morning, is drunk and he has a gun with him. And the next thing he releases. So all that should be considered, should be put into cognizance when all the frameworks have been put together. Absolutely. If at your duty you are found drinking or whatever, then you should be laid off.
Looking at all of this, we've talked a whole lot and there's been several reactions regarding this. How best should the state governors, the regional governors, let me put it that way, handle the situation after the legal framework has been put in place?
Yeah, well, we've said a number of things on that. It be still on the state governors to make sure that, one, there's an enactment on this. There's a law by the House of Assembly. Okay, let the Attorney General transpose this to the House of Assembly, to the State House of Assembly of all the 6 states, the State House of Assembly of all the 6 states, the Southwest states. Let them make it the law of each state. Then the governor, because one, we need to also consider finance. Because the other time somebody suggested, or they suggested some ridiculous fees of 13,000 something, 500. You don't want to risk that because what can 13,500 do? What can it do for an individual when we're even talking about minimum wage of 30,000 naira? You know, so now, if you are employing somebody and you want to pay 13,500 monthly salary, then you are opening doors for corruption. You're opening doors for the officers to engage in some extra activities, you know,
which
to
could undermine
yes,
the essence of the outfit in the first place.
In the first place. So we have to be careful.
So
they
how
really need to
much is
revisit
better
that.
in terms of payment to forestall that?
I don't know how heavy different states are
But
when it
these
comes
governors receive security votes. Shouldn't they be looking into that?
Yes, they do. They do, but the truth is, we don't know how much, because they never disclose the security votes and all that. We don't know how much comes in there, but they can actually generate, if we are serious, because most of the time our governors are lazy, and everybody lived on what comes from the federal government, from the central, and that's the reason why you discover that they will tell you, we can't pay this, we can't pay that, because we don't have money, because they don't generate anything within for themselves. So do we have to look at how to get this money first? I can't say 30,000, I can't say 50,000. They need to look at their pocket and to see what they can even do that can say, okay, an average officer you are employing can do this and manage what you are giving. It's going to have families and all that. So you need to put that into consideration so that you don't defeat the essence of this whole the security outfit that you are trying to bring up. That is one. Two, the governor should understand also that one of your primary duty is to protect lives and properties of your people. Now, how do you achieve that with the Amotekun security outfit to come up with that? You have to bring out also framework to consider how that can be achieved. And also, the governor also should not be carried away. How do I mean? They should not be carried away to start using them as tools against opponents, against other political parties or anyone that you think, oh, you don't like his face. So Amotekun, then they come up with all sorts and is arrested and is prosecuted or something. So we have to be sincere with this. And it should be purely for your people, not to be used for your ulterior motives.
Now,
in any way.
one aspect I'd like for you to quickly talk about is the aspect of trust. Because when you look at the security outfits we have heard, people or indigents seem to have mistrust in them in terms of committing to them information such that they wouldn't become victims of what they are trying to deal with. How can this outfit work in sync with the people, ensuring trust and that the motive is achieved?
Don't forget that trust is earned. You don't force it on people. You must earn trust. Now, we have to look at the relationship of these people with the community, because we are talking about community policing right now. Now, you can have, and we're talking about intelligence. Yeah. So you can even work with people within the community and nobody knows who is giving. It's like whistleblowing. Nobody knows who is giving. And when then probably in part of the framework, there will be some forms of between them and whoever that is divulging. Agreement? Thank you. Like a non-disclosure agreement that, come, you're not going to come after me. Like I remember that whistleblower, when you give any whatever information and is not true, they may end up coming for you. No, that should not. Because once you start doing that, now you're taking people away from coming out. You're sending people away from coming out to you to reveal any information that they... Let them come. You just do your investigation. Let them tell you, then don't winch hunt them because probably the information they brought is false. You must be able to manage it so that also people don't start using that as an avenue to come against their enemies. Now they get an information when they know is a lie. They cook up something and they come to you. Then all you just do, you pick it.
Verification is also a key issue here.
Very, very. So until you are able to achieve this, that is when you start gaining people's trust. Right. People can come out to you and give you information of things that you need to work on. Else, we may still be doing the same thing, because seriously, the security in this country is really, really, it has gone far beyond what we are seeing. Right. So we really, really need community policing.
All right, Alain Daniels, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.